All right. Okay, so hi. Here we are, May Day, the Node.js tooling meeting. Thank you everybody for showing up, and especially Anton, who I invited to talk about like this hot reloading or reloading of ES modules. And so Anton maintains, among other things, Rewire Mock, and I think even a proxy choir too now. But these are testing libraries that help you do module level mocking. So essentially, instead of mocking out like a property on an object, you stub out or you mock the entire module. So this especially has some challenges with ES modules because yeah, I'll let him go into the specifics. But so the point is what I wanted to kind of get from him and put him on the spot here. I think it is very early in the morning for him too, but just to get this list of what exactly it is we need to support the use cases that he sees in his projects, or just if he even has more ideas of things that essentially you could do in common JS, but you cannot do it with ES modules. And so we're trying to understand what that is so we can try to move forward on addressing them. So that's my spiel. So Anton, I wonder if you could kind of talk about what you think is needed.
Okay, so I also maintain not only just Rewire Mock, but also React Hot Loader. So I'm in that hot reloading for a few years already. And for Webpack, it's a more or less easy way. And when Webpack started supported ES modules, it became even a bit easier. While for Node.js, is it a bit opposite. So why it's easier for Webpack? As long as Webpack knows and tracks all the parents for a model, and when something got updated, it may notify everything which use that model about it got updated. And you can somehow act on that action. So there is a more or less standard API, model hot accept, where you could do something. Node.js doesn't have multiple parents for a model. Node.js doesn't have model accept. And yeah, so that's a first problem. The second problem actually with ESM modules. So with Webpack, when it was based on CommonJS, you had to manually update everything. So you'll be notified that some model was updated, and then you have to somehow get that update and update your local variables and start using that new model. With ESM, Webpack get that job on itself. If something get updated, something get updated. Sometimes it was good, sometimes it was not, but it was a little problem. So let's imagine that you changing your code and actually you're doing it a bit quickly and there is a syntax mistake or JavaScript error, something. So your model get updated, but you're not able to actually update it. So JavaScript exception happens, and actually that exception prevents the current model from making a new call to model hot upset. So you try to get one update and you are no longer able to get second update as long as something bad happens in between and the second handler was not set up properly. In React Hot Loader, it was made in a bit a different way. So if one model wants to say that I want to be a hot replaceable, it goes to its parents and set up update for the parents. So it's like a changing the place when hot update is created. So it's hacking that model system, and that was the only choice how to make that these updates a bit more safe. And the same system, know the parents, is needed to actually clean the cache. So right now, if you by any reason wants to evict some model from a cache to be able to get it again, updated version, or like just clean it, you have to clean it from a cache, and then you have to go to every parent and clean it, like kill the parent, until you will reach some point, like a current model, and destroy all the models between the target model and the current model, and then you'll be able to require something from scratch. So that's working if there is only one parent for a model. But as long as it's not the case, you first have to build that relationships between parent and child. So you have to go for all the models, go for all the children's, and just recreate that parents for every model. It's not a big deal. The algorithm is super simple and super fast, but there is also a lot of models. So for example, in our code base, it's like maybe 10,000 files. It's taking roughly 40 milliseconds. 40 milliseconds is not that bad, but if you have 40 milliseconds, multiply 4,000 test files, it's already a big problem. So it's 10 minutes just spent to clearing the cache. Yeah, so for me right now, the biggest problem is the absence of API, the normal API, to do something with cache.
And so you're essentially saying that I may be wrong here. So, but in the CommonJS way, you could go into require cache and just delete something. But with ESM, you can't. Even if you had that access, it's like you have to do that. You have to build this graph and traverse the graph and find all these parents and delete the reference from each one. Is that what you're saying?
This is what you have to do with CommonJS model cache. And ESM is actually not changeable at all by design.
Right.
So that's just not going to work anyway.
Okay, so that's what I'm trying to get at. So it's this ESM is not changeable by design. This is what we know this, and that's a problem. And in order for us to continue to build tooling around that we need and expect to work, Node is going to have to essentially extend this model somehow. It's going to have to go beyond the spec, and so I'm trying to figure out. Okay, so what is it to how do we make that work? Like, what exactly do we need? Is it just I need some way to evict, a module from the cache? Is that it? Is that the only API endpoint that Node would need to provide?
So there is two APIs which is needed for different cases. So one case is, I call it like a self-evicting modulus. It's a use case, first I found it in ProxyQuire. Then some model wants to know the parent, so who called it. And it's possible if only someone called it, and you're just removing yourself from a cache, and that's why you know that your current parent is who just called you. And you're removing you from a cache, and our parent will put you in a cache again. And again, you can ask who calling me, and you always know, for example, from which test files particularly this function was called. This is not a very popular use case, but some things actually cannot operate without it. So that's one use case. And another use case is actually, could you destroy the whole tree behind some file? Or could you destroy all tree behind some file in the direction of another file? So if you're mocking something quite deeply in a tree, you have to destroy it and all the parents to the current point, but not the rest. So let's imagine a situation that I want to mock file system. So I'm just saying, could you replace model file system by my own implementation? And everything which uses file system has to be evicted from a cache. And everything which uses these models has to be evicted from a cache. And then when I will import my stuff to test, for example, I will get everything new with file system a reference updated. But if simultaneously I have something different, for example, Babel, which not operating with file system directly, and I don't have to require it again as long as it's super slow operation. It's better to keep it. So destroy the current model and destroy something behind something. So the file mocking case and just self-victim analogous case.
It is, and this, you may have said this as much, but so we use rewire mock in Mocha. And so a thing that we've done is we ask it to load some module A, which depends on module B. And we want to swap out module B, but we only want to do that for module A. Right? We don't want to do it like globally. And so is that another use case, or does that fall into, we want to evict the cache from like module A, like you said something about like a path or like a target kind of through the parent tree. Like we want to just knock out this portion of the tree. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to to understand.
So that's a case, but let's imagine you have 3 files, and all 3 files are using A, and all 3 files was actually loaded into the memory and exist in a cache. You need to test only B. So you are evicting from a cache A and B, but for example, C is still using the old A, and you're not doing anything with it as long as that's not your test target.
Right. But that would be covered by this. So what?
Yes. So this is a case when you're trying to destroy something behind B in direction of C. So you are like finding C and moving to the B, but not to the C. I probably mess with letters, but I hope you got the point.
Okay, no, I think I get it. So you think there are these essentially these two use cases is what it boils down to for you?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So I mean that's better than 3 or 5. And I don't know, I'm not on the modules team. I don't know, like, is there some technical limitation, or is the limitation just in the spec? Is it just like, is it a political limitation, or is it just, would there need to be like major changes under the hood and able to support this? Like, would we have to, is this implementation even in Node, right? Is this implementation in V8? What is this going to look like? And so, other people, and Guy Bedford has been in this meeting, but I think he's a person who was very interested in this and would probably have an idea of how to get to it. And I know personally, I really want to see it get done. But yeah, I wanted to bring you in because I only understood part of it, and I did not understand the bit about this like destroy in a direction of another module. And then knowing, you have to be able to know the parent is the other one, right? So you need to know, is it who required, or like who imported me, if I'm a module, who imported me? Or is it who imported me first, or does that not matter?
That should not matter. So I would say that was a mistake for the current situation, that you expected to have one parent. It's not a reality.
Yes, that has been frustrating before in the past, where it's like, the parent is not what I expected it to be, because it's just whoever got to it first. So, okay, cool. So, thank you. Is there anybody else who has any input or ideas about this particular issue? And for reference, this is issue 51, the hot module reloading, which was supposed to be renamed, and I think I was supposed to do that, but I didn't. So yeah, issue 51. Anybody? Super. Okay, so that's cool. And so I think what I want to do then is so I'm gonna write it up somewhere, and I don't know, maybe there's probably an issue somewhere in the modules repo, but I just kind of want to get some place to formalize exactly what we need. So all right, so the next issue on the agenda is this FS hook stuff. When we met last, was it last time? Vladimir was working on this. What did he call it? It was not async hooks. It was like, what was it called? Do you remember?
It was another hook. Yeah, I don't remember.
It was something, but it was essentially this effort that would
security hooks, I think.
Yeah, something like
Yeah.
that. It would allow you to hook into a whole lot of different things, and good for instrumentation and stuff like that. But it sounded like the FS hook stuff that we wanted in 53 or 63 would be potentially part of that, and so I think we may just be like waiting to see what he comes up with. And so maybe instead of keeping this on the agenda, and I don't know how far he's gotten, so like follow up with Vladimir about his thing with the hooks.
Yeah, apparently he's watching us, but didn't want to participate. He sent me a message.
Okay, well, hello there.
Yeah, hello, Vlad.
Anyway, no pressure, but I think we're kind of just wanting to wait and see what he comes up with there. But all right, so the next thing is this. Again, this is on the list. I can't remember why, because I don't. I wish I should probably look at last meeting's notes, but I'm probably not going to. I think, Darcy, is this something you said you were going to look at?
Yeah, so I took the action there. I posted, I think in the last comment that I need to sync up with Ben, I think, to get the start on this work. I just haven't gotten to it yet. But I do think I added 2 action items to that. Let me look at that issue specifically.
All right.
But yeah, I'm willing to take this on. Just haven't had time in the last couple of weeks, so I'll sync up with Ben and yeah, hopefully put fingers to keyboard.
Mm-hmm. All right. I don't suppose there's anything else about that one. So okay. The next thing is issue 48, which is support for hooking spawn and spawn sync without patching. It sounded like, again, this may be a thing that was part of the Vlad's hooks. So unless, Corey, do you know otherwise? It was like we were going to wait on that one, or?
I do not have any update for that. My one comment about the spawn hooks is that they manipulate the environment. So whether or not that coincides with the FS hooks, which I got the impression were more about monitoring, less about manipulation, but I could be wrong on that.
Right, yeah. I mean, the gist I got from last time was that there is essentially 2 use cases, and one is like a read-only case, and the other one is we want to mess with stuff. And FS, it seems like, I mean, that could go either way, right? You might want to monitor, you might want to return some sort of fake thing that looks like a file handle. I don't know. But yeah, that's like two ways to look at it. And spawn sync thing would be, mutating something, and that thing would be the environment. So, but I do think we made that clear, that, it's just, there's like two different ways to, I don't know, there was talk of like a permissions thing or what have you, but okay. Super. Next one, better way to detect a process is exiting. Anybody have anything on this? No. Okay. Were there even any action items? We should probably like make some sort of thing for this to do. Otherwise, we should take it off the agenda. It seemed to me like, if I recall correctly, we knew what we needed. I don't know if it actually got written down though. But the next step may also just have been to send a PR. I don't know. Does anybody remember?
No, but just on that note, for the HMOD-R, I poked you in the thread itself just to maybe remove it from the agenda for next week, unless there's an update there.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool to leave it on unless we like know we're not going to touch it, just to keep it like, yeah. I don't mind going through them if, even if there's no news. So.
Okay. Yeah, in this specifically, this process like signaling signal exit, I'm not sure what the conversation was.
I just here. Wow, that predictive text in Google Docs is creepy. Okay, so then the next thing would be source map stuff. Source maps. Any news on the source map front, Ben?
Oh, maybe Ben hasn't figured out the microphone issue.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Do you need to call IT, Ben? What, do I here? I unmuted you. I don't know what I did. Did I mute you somehow?
I think you've muted. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
now.
now it works. Yeah.
I like, yeah, I scrolled over to you and it said like unmute. I don't know. Anyway.
Why did you mute me?
It may have been an errant click. I don't recall muting you.
Oh, I had tons of great comments. No, I didn't have anything useful. So source maps, one thing did come up, which is that people were asking in the Twitter thread if we could move it away from experimental towards just calling it not experimental. I mean, I've been using it, and like I think we'd keep it behind a flag, because I mean it's the sort of thing where your test runner can turn it on if you need it. But there aren't too many open issues, and I'm kind of tempted to just call it like a general available feature if no one objects when I open the PR. So that's one thing. Other than that, I do want to add support still. I haven't for showing the position in code where the source map error, where the map error happened. I haven't written that code. That's one kind of feature improvement I'd like to do. But I'd also like to call the feature done.
Ben, remind me, can you like enable it programmatically, or does it needs a flag?
That was something great someone brought up in a thread, actually. You cannot enable it programmatically today. It's an environment variable. So that would be nice, you're right. Although I wonder if it would be confusing to people that you need to have enabled it programmatically to require a module. Like I wonder if you'd end up with tons of issues where people are like, I enabled this, but it's not working. What the heck? And meanwhile, the problem is that, you know, if you enabled it after you've required a ton of stuff, then you won't have collected the source maps for everything you required. So I wonder if it's that feature's a little sticky.
Right. I mean, so as a maintainer of a testing framework, I know not all testing frameworks want to do things like this, but for a testing framework to want to enable something like that, like, and the only way to do it is with an environment variable or a flag on the command line, it's going to have to launch a child process. And so that is best to be avoided. And I think it's like, it's too useful of a thing to need that. You know what I mean? And so like, it would be awesome if either you could just turn it on programmatically or by default, just turn it on. Like if it's not mucking with anything else, let's turn it on. Like if it's not like really like causing performance issues, I don't know.
Yeah, although I kind of worry that, I don't know, I'm tempted to expose something for Mocha and other frameworks rather than turn it on widely, just because surely it will impact performance a bit because we end up having to track some additional information for everything required. And I expect that, like, I'm not too concerned if turning the flag on breaks some random things that are trying to muck with source maps themselves because you're opting into it. But if we just turn it on by default, I think there's a chance we'd end up getting a lot more issues reported than we have today. So I'm open. I like the idea of adding a way to turn it on. I think that's a good idea. Maybe rather than having it on by default.
Yeah, I can see that. But yeah, if there was just like a process dot enable source map, sure.
That would make sense to me. Maybe we shouldn't call it GA until we try adding that and see what people think. So maybe that's a good feature for me to take on.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely going to be some gotchas there, as you said, but I don't know. There's a lot of ways to shoot yourself in the foot.
Maybe we can document that well and say, like, listen, like, you must enable this early on in your process, and it's really designed for people who are rating harnesses, or you know what I mean, like provide some language that explains what's happening.
Yeah. Okay. What happened with argument parsing? Were we supposed to meet about that? Was there a meeting that I missed?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I think the only action item was for me to start something. But yeah, haven't really started up any branch or PR yet.
Yeah, just to be clear, like I feel kind of like a project manager right now, and it's like, that's not like I don't love that. And look, I'm just going through the agenda. My expectations for any of you or myself or just about anything right now are extremely low, and I'm not like upset that you haven't started because I haven't done jack all either. Okay, so don't
worry. It's more myself. I wanted to have started, but I couldn't get to it.
I'm just
You should blame his actual manager.
Oh no, don't do that. He might be on a call.
Oh gosh. All right. So yeah, but yeah. If you want to do some parsing stuff, I want to do it too. So that's
yeah. If anyone gets started on it, just make sure to ping us.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, you know what? That's the agenda. So does anybody have anything they want to show and tell?
Oh, I have one thing. We just merged the workspaces into Arborist, which is like the new library for installing packages in npm7. So yeah, that's great news. So workspace should be a part of the pre-release beta that we might release soon.
Yeah, how soon?
Well, Darcy.
No promises.
Yeah.
As soon as possible.
I'd like to play with it though. I'll check out that RC. So sure, please drop a line when it's available into like the chat room or whatever.
Yeah, you can grab Arborist right now and play around with it. You just have to call a bunch of things manually. So
no, I don't want to do that. I just want to use
Yeah.
npm with workspaces. I want to see what it does. So
Yeah. No, and I'm on board. That's what everybody just wants. Like when you try it, you want to make sure you're trying something that will be close to the final product, right?
All right. Yeah. I don't have anything to show. Like I made a giant PR into Mocha like a little while ago. It changed. There was like 90 some odd change sets, and I split them into 12 PRs, and those PRs are slowly being merged. And at the end of this, we should be able to run tests in parallel, which will be cool and be awesome and fun in a development environment for people. But that's still a little ways out. Yeah, it's just like make a change, wait for somebody to, you wait 24 hours for somebody to pick it up on the other side of the world and review it, and then wait another 24 hours and could get back to it and that sort of thing. But yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm excited when that's going to land. Anybody else got anything they want to show off?
I was waiting for parallel Mocha test for many years, so I could wait a bit more.
Yeah. No, I think, Mocha actually had parallel testing at one point, but they ripped it out, and I don't know why. I don't know the story. It was before my time, but I guess it was just too hinky, and they couldn't get it to work right. But I think I did a pretty good job. So, I suppose we'll see. Because when that goes live and people start using it, that's a lot of people that might start using it, and I'm sure I'll hear about it. So.
Yeah, so actually almost a related question. Parallel tests and cache eviction is more or less coming together. So Jest is giving you some sort of isolation between tests due to parallelization and due to cache eviction. So what Mocha actually does for the parallelization? Is it parallelization with isolation or not?
The answer is probably no. Because I don't know what isolation means in Jest, but I can tell you that
in Jest. So just before running every test, it actually evicts everything from a cache.
No.
It's like every test is like you're running just it.
Nope. If you need that, use Jest. But no, Mocha's not going to do that. It's just it's not using worker threads. Can't use worker threads right now. I'd like to in the future when you can actually debug a worker thread. But you can't apparently. So yeah, it's just launching processes, and it spreads the work out over the processes, and it doesn't reuse too much stuff except those processes. So no isolation, not going to happen. If you need it, yeah, Mocha will not give that to you. But does anybody have anything else that they want to show off? Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that's it then. So you can get your 20 minutes back. And one more thing. It's still a work in progress, but there is some stuff I was working on to like integrate HackMD into these automated issues, which might be nice. But there's also a sort of initiative over in the package maintenance group, and so it's the package PKGJS org on GitHub, and they're doing some stuff with GitHub Actions and creating issues for meetings and stuff. And I want to keep an eye on that too, because yeah, that looks probably better than what I have, and I would probably want to adopt that once people start using it. But check that out if you're interested in having these like issues appear somewhere for a meeting on some sort of calendar. Yep. So all right. Well, everybody, have a good weekend and all that stuff. Yeah, and I'll see you again in 2 weeks.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.